What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the CJ Rugby Prep podcast. We're into episode 3 already, so I think it's something stupid. Like, I've already beaten 99% of podcasters because they all fail on episode 1. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Anyway, in today's episode, what I want to be covering with you guys is how to structure your gym sessions then in the best way possible so that you, as a rugby athlete, can go into the gym, be efficient with your time, and actually make some real life progress on the field and in the gym as well. Okay, so before we get into all that, please, if you're new to the channel and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I upload one video every single week with the aim to help you with your rugby prep and making sure that, of course, you're putting your best foot forward within your rugby journey. Also, if you check the link in the description, I basically have a few free guides for you where basically you can set up your training week based on where you are in your season. And then lastly, if you would like me to help you on your rugby journey, there's a link below as well for our Rugby 365 podcast, the podcast program. Even the program itself is growing. Everybody inside is making some massive gains, massive results. And it'd be great to get you a part of the community where I coach you. Basically on a daily basis, making sure that, again, you're making progress. So head to the description to check out those links. And let's get into episode 3, where basically we're going to build out the perfect gym session for you. Okay, so in terms of actually getting your gym sessions right, it is so important that you actually have like a framework and a structure that you can basically map out every single session. Okay, and it's repeatable, and this will take so much thinking out of your sessions, because like, no matter, I'm a big believer that you should have a coach. Okay, I'm not just saying that whether I coach you, whether you have other rugby S&C coaches out there. Like, even for my jiu-jitsu journey now, I have a jiu-jitsu coach. It makes a world of difference, okay, having somebody in your corner who's an expert. But if you do decide to obviously, create your own program and things like that, having this framework and having this structure will actually take you so much further. So the first thing to realize, right, is that without a structure, you are going to get a variety of things and a variety of problems, right? The first few problems are, without the right structure, you are going to get lack of progress, okay? Because you're going to be putting the wrong things at the wrong time, whether it's the wrong time in the session, whether it's the wrong time in the week. You're going to lack progress if you're doing the wrong things at the wrong time. Then what that leads to is, if you're lacking in progress, you will then start lacking in motivation. Okay, it's human nature that when we must as humans see progress, right, in order to feel like we're getting somewhere in life and that we're really working towards something. And when you don't have that progress, you guys probably know this, right, and you've gone through it, is that you just have that lack of motivation, because you kind of turn up to the gym and you're kind of being like, I don't even know why I'm doing this today. I don't even know if I've progressed from 6 months ago. So what's the point, essentially? Okay, so you will lack in serious progress, serious motivation, if you don't have a structure to follow and the right structure to follow. Thirdly, the other thing that we need to cover is that you are way more likely to get injured if you are doing things at the wrong time. Okay, so what I mean by that is that if you've just done a grueling strength session and then you're trying to pay at the end of your gym session some power work and things like that, you are essentially more likely to get injured. Okay, whether it's fatigue and you've got sloppy technique in the jumps and things, or whether it's actually pulling a muscle. Okay, so doing the things at the right time is really going to drastically reduce your risk of injury as well. Okay, so they are the reasons as to like why you need the right structure. Okay, and now I want to take you into like how you're going to start structuring your sessions, right? So with this, the thing that we need to start with is that rugby is a sport where, and you know this, rugby is a sport where you need all physical qualities at once in order to be effective on the field. Okay, so if we think about the physical qualities of a rugby player and what you need to be strong, you need to be powerful, you need to be fast, you need to be fit, you need to be robust. I struggle to think of many sports that require and demand so much of the human body as rugby. Like, yes, in football, so soccer, if I have any American watchers, in football, you do need a mixture of all physical qualities, okay? But do you really need to be as strong as a rugby player needs to be? And then American football, if we talk about NFL, they are all about explosion and things like that. Do you really need to be as aerobically fit, essentially, to be effective? Okay, so rugby to me is the perfect blend of all physical qualities at once. So why are we not training all physical qualities at once is the question that I ask, okay? And it's something that you should be doing within your sessions. You should definitely be touching on all physical qualities at once during those sessions, okay? Unless you have some really glaring weaknesses that you really need to, push, then yes, a couple of sessions, you might miss a few qualities in order to just get that extra volume in whatever quality that you're trying to develop, okay? But I'm going to basically run you through the structure that I run with my clients, the structure that I run with myself when I was playing rugby. And this is honestly the sort of way then that you are going to be able to put all these together and actually feel like you're not overwhelmed trying to fit all the qualities in. Okay, so if we were to look at a session, right, we're going to start every session with a warm-up. Okay, pretty obvious, right? Now, the warm-up is something that a lot of people get wrong as well, okay? You don't need to be spending 15, 20 minutes doing stretches, foam rolling. You're not made of glass, okay? You don't need to be doing that. The most efficient way that you can warm up as a rugby player is by looking at your session and going, right, what movement patterns have I got within that session? And then within your warm-up, you just do lighter versions of that. Okay, so for example, right, if we are doing back squats, right, let's say we have 3 sets of 5 on back squats at like 80%. What you could do as your warm up then is we need to make sure, obviously, that we're targeting our hamstrings and our quads and our glutes and things like that. What you would then do is do similar movements with lighter weights. So you could even just do a barbell squat, like an empty barbell squat, which is just a lighter weight. Okay, you can maybe do some barbell RDLs, again, just using the barbell, doing some RDLs. Okay, so whatever you're doing, it must just be it could just be, a lighter version of what your actual lift is, right? Yes, there are examples where, if you need to do a little bit of like prehab and things like that, then we can kind of combine that and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, where your prehab exercises actually tie in with your warm-up and warm up for the session. But if you don't need to do that, just do lighter versions of what you're about to do. Okay, it's as simple as that. Then once you've done your warm-up and your body's like ready to go, you need to then choose what is the most neurally demanding on the body. Okay, so as I spoke about before, we all have a central nervous system, and this central nervous system essentially just keeps tabs on your body. Okay, so it'll let you know when you're fatigued, it'll let you know when you feel fresh, right? The most neurally demanding stuff is going to be the most high intense stuff. So the stuff that you're going to be moving fast and you need to be fresh in order to like drive the adaptation that you're after. Okay, so you must always do your power work first when you're fresh. Okay, so again, with the power work, just to give you some examples, right? So we're looking at like speed of movement. So some movements that we're looking at, you're going to be looking at like jumps, and this can be body weight jumps, this can be weighted jumps, depending on what qualities that you're trying to develop. This can be like bounds, hops, throws, Olympic lifts, all these movements. Okay, so stuff that we're moving really fast, really aggressive, right? With that, it must be pretty low volume. Okay, you're not going to be doing like 3 sets of 10 of barbell squat jumps. I need you to be doing this like 3 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, 3 sets of 4 at most, probably. Okay, so really low volume, quite lightweight, but you're moving it aggressively. Okay, this is the stuff that's going to help you transfer the power, the strength onto the field that you need. Okay, so once you've done your power work, then it's time to work on your max strength work. Okay, because this is going to be the second most demanding on your body. So with the max strength work, we're looking at our big lifts here. Okay, now as rugby players, you shouldn't be getting obsessed with certain lifts. Like, you don't have to back squat, you don't have to bench press, but you must have a lift within that movement pattern that is going to get you strong. Okay, so when we look at the back squat, we're going to look at things like, you could even use front squats, you could use box squats, front box squats, trap bar deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, all these things, right? It must be a variation of a double leg lift, and then same with the bench press. Okay, so we could use barbell bench press, dumbbell bench press, incline bench press. It hasn't got to be a flat bench press. Okay, so within that, you're going to do your strength work. Again, we're probably keeping the volume quite low here, but you're lifting at a high intensity. Okay, so it'd be like 3 to 4 sets of anywhere between like 1 to 5 reps, and then you're going to be lifting anywhere in terms of percentages from like 80% to like 95% of your 1RM or 3RM, depending on what you're working off. Okay, so that's when you're going to do your strength work. So you're going to go power, warm up, power, then your strength. Okay, then what's going to happen is the back end of the session is more tied towards like what you need, what you specifically need as an athlete. Okay, so there's a few things that we can look at here, right? We basically are going to do a lot of like accessory work, okay? And then what that could then mean though is that we're doing like accessory movements, whether it's like hypertrophy, so we're trying to build muscle, whether we're trying to build like work capacity, so we might do what's called a GPP circuit, which is basically a general physical preparedness circuit, where you're doing like a string of exercises together to really like raise the capacity of the muscle so that they can tolerate high workloads, okay? So it's more or less you're going to go from the accessory stuff is going to be sort of like your lateral raises, your dumbbell curls, maybe some neck work, some trap work, calf raises, just kind of like the little muscles that we need to pay attention to, and like depending again on your goal, that's going to drive the major thing within that final part of the session. Okay, so if you, for example, if you're a rugby player that's struggling to put on size, then you need to basically dedicate that last like 10 to 15 minutes of your session, getting a pump on and really driving a lot of like volume into that sort of muscle group. Okay, so the latter part of the session is more down to like what you need specifically, but usually it's more accessory work. It's more kind of like higher volume stuff. Okay, so you're looking at like 3 to 5 sets and anywhere sort of between sort of like 6 to 15 reps even, or maybe even higher sometimes. Okay, so that's the structure so far. So we've got the warm up, we've got the power, we've got the max strength, we've got the accessory work. Then what you can do, right, is if you need conditioning top ups, then you what I like to do and what I like to give my athletes is basically like a 10 to 15 minute sort of off feet finisher, where basically we just get a bit of a sweat on, okay, like a conditioning top up. Okay, so that is going to take up mostly around 45 to 60 minutes. Okay, you'll be surprised how quick you can get through that when you have the right structure in place. Okay, now, is there arguments of, doing conditioning after you've done a little bit of strength work is going to like interfere with the gains and things like that? A lot of people like to kind of overcomplicate stuff. Like my personal take on it is that you've got bigger things to worry about within your prep, okay, than the interference effect. And like a 10-minute finisher is not really going to do a hell of a lot of damage on, the strength work that you've just done or the power work that you've just done. Okay, so just to kind of recap everything, okay, in terms of how you go into the gym, you're going to go in, you're going to warm up, you're going to use similar movement patterns to what you have planned in the session. Then you're going to go into your power work where you're most fresh and that you can give you your absolute all within those sessions, within that sort of period, to be able to move quickly, move fast, move powerful. And then you're going to go into your max strength work, okay, so making sure that we're working on your body's ability to produce lots of force. Then you're going to go into your accessory work and then basically into your finisher, right? That's kind of like the structure of it there. Anywhere between sort of 5 to 7 exercises, I tend to find is the sweet spot in total. Okay, so hope this helps, guys. Hope that this has given you a little bit more of a structure with how to go in and actually have a plan and really do the right things that you need to be doing. If you have any questions, just follow me on Instagram at CJ Rugby Prep. Drop me a message and I'll be sure to answer any questions that you have.